welcome to the channel. My name is Ian, this is Jason, and we are reviewing or telling you about the Aesthetica Short Film Festival that's in York. And this is day two. Day one, two videos of day one, each about 30 minutes, and they are linked down below. So the first part of the morning was you, wasn't it? Because I stayed here and edited the video and put it up, and then you went off and looked at some...
Yeah, I explored York a little bit. I was trying to find the game lab, which I still haven't found
it.
Still haven't found the game lab. I will find the game lab tomorrow. And just because I was running a little bit late, I ended up in a pick and mix at the Theatre Royal, which was quite interesting. The venue was full. There's a lot of school kids, so you know the teachers were there with them. They rifled them in and rifled them out. So the content for that session was, you know, a little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy. It was all kind of age appropriate. It was pretty good. There was 5 or 6 movies. Maybe not go through each one. The first one was probably my favourite. Really interesting. It was set in Waterford in Ireland. It was focused around a lady, Mrs. Kelly, who looked after. She worked in a vicarage. She looked after that, so there was lots of scenes of her kind of, you know, keeping the place up and running and polishing the vicar's shoes and stuff. But she also ran a dance club, Irish dance, and she ran a dance club. And her father turns up with his young daughter and says, "Hey, please take her to the class." She's like, "No, we're full. Please take her to class." Took her to class. She was basically an amazing dancer, like more talent than she'd ever seen in her life. And she wanted to join the dance club, but the lady from Waterford, it turns out the girl, Claude.
So is this documentary or drama?
Hard to say. Somewhere between the two.
Somewhere between the two. So it's drama documentary.
Well, because it was pick and mix, I didn't know what I was getting.
Exactly,
I didn't know what they were serving up, you see, so I didn't know what category it was in. So I'm sure it's elsewhere in the programme.
Right, let me look and see if I can find it while you're talking.
Yeah, I didn't catch all of the names of them, you see. So it was really good. So she was, basically the girl was an amazing dancer, this style of dancing, but she wasn't from Waterford, she was from just across the border in County Cork. So Mrs. Kelly couldn't let her into the dance class because she was from across the border and she had joined the Cork one. So the whole film was about wrestling. She was really wrestling with her conscience of, she really wanted to work with this girl and kind of have her part of her dance crew, wanted to kind of save her, but she couldn't break the rules. And you know, kind of eventually you can probably figure out how it went. But it was really good. It was a really good first one. It was really it really set the mood. You know, it was a good start to the day. It was really heartwarming, really open. It was filmed really well. It was dark colours, but really kind of took you in. So that was pretty strong. Again, I don't know the name. I'll have to go back and look it up.
I'm struggling to find it in the programme here.
Yeah, because it was a pick and mix. We don't know all again. And next one was a very short film called "Take Me to the Ocean." It was about a Japanese lady. She lost her father in a car accident, and she felt responsible for that, and she took solace in kind of the water. It was helping her breathe properly, helped her through it, and she was doing underwater photography. And it was, you know, it was pretty unique what she was doing. That she kind of developed that skill out of coming out of grief. Following that was a dance movie. Like experimental street dance, large group of young dancers. It wasn't all about staying in time and lots of gymnastics and all that. It was all very good. It was a great soundtrack. It was a very powerful story. I captured who the music was by. It was a guy called Benji Bauer. It was very good. It was kind of electronic but orchestral. It was really nice and really accompanied the piece. You know, usually dance movies are you know, lots of beats and lots of, but actually it was really subtle and really supported it well. The next one was really powerful. It was a thriller set in Ukraine. It was based on a true story. You know, very kind of, you know, fairly current. There was a son and his father in a bunker. His father was a doctor helping injured soldiers, helping women and children that were poorly. There were they were looking to get rescued so they could all evacuate. A truck was coming. The truck got shot down by Russian jets. And then they were invaded by Russian fighters, and the young boy tried to kind of save everybody in the camp. He had kind of negotiation tactics with them that unfortunately didn't work out. So a pretty, very, very current story, very, very powerful. It was a true story. After that event, he did survive the event and he joined the army, but unfortunately didn't survive that. He died, I think, at the end of 2023. So that was, that was a very, very strong film.
Yeah.
Next one was called Sister, My Sister. It was a skating film, so it was about bringing women together all around the world, all from different races, all from different religions that took up skateboarding.
Okay.
So they'd be skateboarding in their kind of traditional clothing.
Oh right, okay.
All around the world. There was somebody from Birmingham, somebody from New York, somebody from Nigeria, and it was the taboo of female should be in this space where you're doing all the curls, all the jumps and falling over and stuff. That was pretty good. It was a sense of community. So that they were all pretty good, and it was nice. I quite liked the pick and mix actually, because you didn't know what you were getting. So
and it certainly doesn't seem to be in here as a section.
So that was quite good. It was a nice cross section.
It was called. So it was at 10:30 today, in York Theatre Main House. And then I've looked again on other days. It doesn't seem to be a pick and mix. So it's docs, drama, and dance. For an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half, isn't it? Yeah,
it was good. It was a nice mix because going into some of the other sessions, look at what's on the agenda. You've got an idea of what you're going into, right? You're going into 90 minutes of comedy. You're going into some drama, but that was quite nice because you didn't know what to expect. Yeah, that was definitely the highlight for me.
So I rushed to try and get to one of the master classes. So I went to. I've got my notes here. I went to Frame Store, which is Frame Store is a visual effects company, and it was a lady who told us a little bit about her background and how she got into it, and she'd been in it for about 15 years, and a bit about what Frame Store do. And I never even knew that sort of companies like this exist. But fundamentally, what they do is that she had some really, really good examples, and one of the examples was The Last of Us TV show, where she showed like the final piece, and it was a car chase and crash, and Frame Store's job, or her job, was to basically budget it and see if I could only get the space for 3 weeks, I think it was, to film it. Was it feasible in terms of could they clear it? And because there was lots of shops and other things around the area, and we had to crash into one particular base, would they be doing damage to other buildings and all of this sort
risk
of
assessment?
Very much risk assessment, but they go to quite a lot of detail, and obviously it is. I'm sure it costs a lot of money for them to do this, but it's cheaper for them to find out whether that is physically possible by. They use part animation, and they go and scout it, and they look at all of the possibilities, and they basically film it with. They did some like motion capture things, so they had. So there was Joel and Ellie in the car in the actual final piece, but so they had somebody pretending to be Joel and Ellie in motion capture, and they said we can do that in 2 hours, whereas to have them on set might take all day, and then we might not still be sure. And it was really, and she had 3 or 4 examples of how they do that, and it was really, really interesting because I didn't even think that existed, and she'd worked on some of the really big. So she'd done the first thing that Frame Store did was the Aha video, the classic Take on Me.
Oh, okay.
So they did the animation for that back in the day.
Wow. Okay.
And they've done lots of TV and film, and I mean even to the extent that they did the Barbie movie, and so they would be brought in to deal with. Like she showed I can't remember what the film was now, but it was an animation, and it was all animation. It was Loki, the TV series, I think, which I haven't watched. But everything in it was CGI, apart from Tom Hiddleston, who was the actor, So they had somebody pretending to be Tom Hiddleston, and they went through each of the shots that was going to happen, and they worked from a storyboard because it was all CGI. They fundamentally did that, And as she rightly says, you never see their work. But what you do see is some TV and movie would basically, they would take their shots and then just tweak them a little bit or reanimate them and all of that sort of thing. So they do a lot of the groundwork, and it's cheaper for them to do that than start from scratch. So it was really quite fascinating. It was good, actually. Again, full house, lots of kids around, but it was really, really interesting.
So the unsung heroes, all of that
I didn't even know that they even existed. Yeah, I mean, it was
nice.
So and then what did you do after that?
I went to Comedy 6, which was around occupational hazards. So it was the theme was all about kind of in the workplace. 6 movies in kind of 90 minutes. First one, called Unprecedented Games, was very good. It was a guy hasn't paid his debts off, gets taken hostage. A couple of guys are there to kill him. This they were kind of hapless criminals. They were sent to kill this guy who owed money, but they weren't doing a very good job. So that was the comedy element. The music that was supporting it was like was reminiscent of like the spaghetti westerns. So that was really good. It was nice. It was short, really good acting. It was just 3 people, 2 criminals and the guy that hadn't paid his bills. It was really done really well. You really kind of got intimate with the characters. It was good. Next one was Don't Hate Me, and it was about a lady who was some kind of performer. You didn't know what she was going out on stage.
Grace.
Yeah, Grace, that's right. So you didn't know exactly what she was doing, but it was all kind of backstage, getting ready to go on. It was a countdown to going on. She was having a bit of meltdown. It started where she was waxing lyrical about her new boyfriend. She'd been with him 3 weeks. He was the love of her life. He was like, hey, he's wonderful, hey, he's wonderful. She sent him a message, he didn't respond, had a meltdown, and then the people around her trying to cajole her to get onto stage was really funny. Lots of good acting and lots of really good gags. Good gags. Next one was called Office Royale. And that one was a really good acting. All of the actors in it, there was kind of 6 or 7 people. All of the actors looked instantly recognisable, whether they were or not.
All right, okay.
I think that was
so
just because they were great. It was either great acting or
you've seen them before.
So it was really done, really well. Lots of running gags, kept the audience giggling. It was the one that had the most kind of interaction from the audience. They're set a challenge by their boss. He runs a business. They all work for him. He kills himself and he says that he'll leave the business to kind of one of them, and they have to kill each other. Last man standing gets the business. Don't want to ruin the plot, but no. Very good. Great punchline. Got really good reception from the room. It kind of got whoops and cheers. It was really good. Next one was The Nobody. It was a good little story. Shot at Manchester Airport. It was about a guy. Somebody died on an airplane, turned up in the airport. People didn't really know what to do. There was an interesting story, an interesting twist in there about people's kind of prejudice, people jumping to kind of conclusions. So that was done well. It was a good skit. And then the last one, I think, was Just Be Awesome.
Just Be Awesome,
So that's a guy down on his luck. He's kind of, 45, mid-40s, out of a job, needed to get into a job. And he went and joined a kind of funky group. I forget what they were called now, Mobus something. So he went and worked with a load of funky guys that were all very, somebody was bouncing around the office on a space hopper. It was one of those places, everything's kind of really funky. He was out of place. So that was really good. That was really funny. Him kind of pushing himself and challenging himself to fit into this environment that he was really uncomfortable in. And again, there was lots of good gags along the way. It was good. So they were all. I mean, it was comedy. They were all light. Lots of gags. I think they were all punchy enough. It kept everybody engaged. Everybody was interested. All well shot and some fabulous acting really to kind of get it across. It's really good.
Cool. Really good. Because we met up, didn't we, after that? So this was 3:30 by now then, and I was flip-flopping. Do I go to Comedy 1, which is you saw the end of yesterday?
Right. Yes.
And I would then see the other 5 films, or do I go to Drama? And we did shortly talk about me going to see Experimental. You were going to go.
I did go to.
You did go. Oh right, okay. We've got that to come. So and I did go to Drama 11. Now Drama 11 was a bit of a mixed bag. So 5 films, and they're showing them again. So they're on first. Today was the first day. It was on Saturday and Sunday again. 12 o'clock on Saturday and 12 o'clock on Sunday, if you fancy these. So first thing we had was Seven Four. It's Spanish, so it's Foir, so I'm probably pronouncing that really badly. And I don't want to say too much about this actually, because if I say too much about it, it will give it away. It was a small 3-hander with a youngish cast. There was a boy who was probably about 13 or 14, and he was going to see his it was his teacher. We don't quite know what he was teaching, whether it was instruments or educational, some form of education, because when he wasn't his teacher.
Okay.
And this girl turns up, and I don't really want to say any more about that, because you do really need to see it. And it was really well acted. Obviously it's subtitled, it's been Spanish, but I was really impressed by that.
So can we get that again? When's the next showing?
The next showing is Saturday at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And actually there's a caveat to these 5 films. One of them, and I'm not saying which one it is, was true, and I mean certainly it is the best thing that I have seen at the festival so far. So much so that when I got to the end of it, I literally went, I was just off the line. So we just lost our X-Light, so everything looks a bit yellowy. Apologies for that. We'll charge it for tomorrow. That's probably the best thing to do. So
we probably both look better in the dark.
You think so? Yeah, well I probably do, yeah. So so like I say, one of these 5 films was so far the best thing that I've seen, but I'm not going to say which one it is, and if I told you which one was real and which one it was, then it would spoil the end of the film for you, and that's why I'm not telling you which one it is. But it's one of this section, and I didn't say before, but it's Ripples of Consequences is Drama 11. So it's certainly worth seeing. Second film was One Punch, which was a story about a prisoner and 2 people come to visit him. Again, I don't want to say too much about that. It was very well acted. It was British, and it was really only 4 people actually. There was a guard, but obviously, but it was and it looked more like a borstal sort of than a full prison. But it's it's to do with the death. But actually, it was. And it's called One Punch, and it was really good. Okay, and it wasn't very long. It was only 10 minutes and 21 seconds. The first film was 16 minutes. Third one was Do Not Resuscitate, and this one I really liked it. So we had an Asian lad who was working in a laundrette, and this girl comes in with her. She didn't have her trousers on, and she needed to wash her trousers quite quickly because she was going to a party. And their interaction is most of the film. The length of the film is 12 minutes. My criticism of the film is, and I really enjoyed the section with the girl and the lad, and he gets invited to a party, and that's all I want to say about that. But actually, it felt like the final scene, which didn't involve her and it only involved him and another character, it's almost like they didn't quite know how to finish it. So I felt a little bit let down by the ending. But I was for 10 minutes of it, I really was enjoyed it, and I was engaged and I was into the characters, and then I just lost it, or they lost me in that one final scene, or maybe I didn't get it. The next one was Fairview Park, which is a story. It's an Irish story about a boy who is struggling with his sexuality, and he clearly is gay, but he's struggling with if you like, coming out. It was set in 1985 or 82, early 80s certainly, when we weren't as accepting of homosexuality as we are now, or would like to be now, certainly. Really, really good piece. Having been to Dublin, because it's set in Dublin, and the scenes inside of his house with his mum and his father and his brother were very realistic in terms of how I remember.
Put you in a time and a place.
It put me back in. I mean, I did go across to Dublin in the early 80s, and I was back in a particular house in 1982 or whenever it was that I was over there. And so that was incredibly realistic for me, having been an Englishman in a Dublin household. The only thing that was missing for me was the fact that when I went to visit this house, the priest turned up, which was the normal sort of thing in Irish houses, I believe, at the time. Really, really good piece. Fairview Park. Total time was just under 14 minutes. Last one was One Up, and this was about loss, and it was a loss of this a young black lad. He's 15, and he's his mother's carer, because his mother obviously has mental health issues. At one point, right close to the beginning of the film, she's literally shouting in the street, really, and he's trying to help her. Which really poignant piece. Really good cast. I mean, the lad playing the 15-year-old, he might have been slightly older, but he was great. Yeah. And as were the other people around him, not the other kids as well that were around him. But really strong piece. Really liked it. Like I said, the only one that I thought was, and it was only the ending, was Do Not Resuscitate. But definitely all 5 films are worth seeing. Very good. And I think what we'll do is we'll stop there, because we're probably getting on for 30 minutes again, or certainly 25 minutes. So we'll put, like we did with the films yesterday, we'll turn this into part 1 and part 2. So we'll be back with part 2. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye bye.